Greetings everybody, this is Kind Pepper, and today we are reviewing a new game that's coming out that everybody is talking about. This game is acting as an alternative against its competitors by promising to go back to its roots while still returning mechanics that fans hate and adding an operator system that nobody asked for. And yet fans are still saying this game is better than the original. Wait, hold on, this is Actifine's description, hold on. God, how long have I been doing? Alright, there we go. Delta Force is acting as an alternative against its competitors by promising to go back to their roots while still returning mechanics that fans hated and adding an operating system that nobody asked for, and yet fans are still enjoying this game more than the original. Yeah, we're at a weird time in gaming right now. While a lot of AAA games are constantly failing to capture their audience, there's now a sudden trend of alternative games. For Call of Duty, that is X-Defiant, for Overwatch, that is Marvel Rivals, and for Battlefield, that is Delta Force. However, Delta Force is doing a lot more than its other competitors. It will be releasing with a campaign, large 32v32 mode, and an extraction mode. That is a lot to give out for free. Although I did hear a rumor that the campaign will be paid for, like what they did for Halo Infinite. From August 6th to September 8th, their closed alpha went live, along with an open alpha during Steam Next Fest, which yours truly was able to participate in. And I have a lot to say, both praises and concern. I'm going to stop beating around the bush, but I want to talk about one thing first. The almost disastrous launch of the Delta Force closed alpha. Before discussing that, I want to quickly mention that the review took so long that the Delta Force Alpha went live again on Steam Next Fest. It's important to note that the original Alpha and the Next Fest Alpha have very few differences besides maybe some balancing rewards. So for the most part, my points I make are still accurate. So Delta Force started its closed alpha on August 6th. You were able to apply through Steam or on its website. However, if you were not granted access through those means, there was still another way. Watch sponsored Twitch streamers play the game for 1 hour and then earn a Steam code through the Twitch drop system. Very straightforward. What can even go wrong? Well, somehow it did. Despite people watching their streamers for 1 hour and still receiving their drops, they were not even given the code to activate their games. I should know. I was one of them. The Discord community was pissed, begging to know why they weren't getting access despite earning their drops. Some people quickly accused the developers of being scammers, while others just assumed that they ran out of Steam codes in about 3 fucking hours. Soon, one of the moderators promised to give away 100k playtest keys were being given away to people's emails, but many were still not receiving their codes, and to think it couldn't get worse. Someone sent a link showing that there was a website full of scalpers selling the Steam code. However, amid the noise and confusion, one moderator broke the silence, stating that a fix would go live the next day, giving access to the players to redeem their codes on August 7th. And that day, I finally got access to the Delta Force Alpha. Alright, so weird thing about this game is that for some reason, the AMD launcher cannot find it. Now, for most people, that probably won't be a big issue, but for me, it presents a problem. You see, I play on a big 4K monitor. Now, that's nice and all, but 4K is a lot for my GPU anyways, while playing large games, that is. So normally I go into AMD Super Resolution, which lowers the resolution, but upscales it back to 4K. With AMD not finding Delta Force, at least for the closed alpha, that means my footage would be a bit laggy, or I'm going to have to find a way to lower the resolution without upscaling. I'm excited. I'm really excited. Let's see if the game starts lagging to hell when I get in the game. No, very smooth so far. Wow. I'm impressed because I'm running it at native 4K, and usually that gave me issues. Got some of them. Yeah, despite running on native 4K and high graphics, I'm not running it on low. The game ran so smoothly. This is genuinely an impressive feat. Genuinely, good job on the developers for making the game run so smoothly. The last game that surprised me this much with great graphics and smooth performance, though not smooth on 4K, like this was Helldivers 2. Oh, and I guess Rocket League and Risk of Rain runs great on 4K, I guess. But those games are not quite the same graphical scale as Delta Force, okay? Although this is a pleasant surprise, when the Steam version came out, I was able to downscale it, and I think got a little bit better frames. I don't know. For the most part, they seemed actually rather the same. But what else do you get? You get an easily readable UI? Not quite. Don't get me wrong, it's not as bad as the Hulu menu design that Activision uses for Call of Duty, at least used to use, but you can easily get lost in this UI. It kind of makes me feel silly for saying X-Defiant's UI was clunky, when Delta Force's UI is way worse. The main stuff is at the top, you know, lobby operators, loadouts, and all those things, but then there's these random nooks and crannies that show you the important challenges and daily unlocks and events. I swear, I keep trying to look at my progression for specific items or challenges, and I can't find it to save my life. The UI definitely needs some smoothing out. Anyways, that's enough cock blocking. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes, the stuff that we're really excited about, the things that you want to see. The history. You see, in 1993, the Rangers led an expedition in the Somalia.
Shut up! It's on with the gameplay!
Okay, fine. We'll get to the gameplay. Jesus, you guys don't want to hear history.
Shut up!
One thing I noticed immediately is that the gunplay feels very familiar and has a heavy punch to it similar to the Modern Warfare games, which makes sense, because Timmy Studios and Transcend Games are the developers of COD Mobile, which is interesting for two reasons. First is a small one, it's not really worth mentioning, but I'll still mention it. During Delta Force's very early alpha builds, they clearly stole the reload animation from previous Modern Warfare games. But to be fair, these are the same people who worked on COD Mobile, so they probably had access to these animations. And the reused animations are missing in the closed alpha, so they were clearly just placeholders, they were never meant to stay. The last problem that some people have is that the developers are Chinese. Yeah, I don't get it. Don't get me wrong, I know China is very different from the US, and when it comes down to its gaming, they also have their own host of problems. But like, have you played an Activision or an EA or an Ubisoft game? I'm sorry, like, it's just silly to me. Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be talking about gameplay. Alright, so where was I? Alright, the guns. They feel great. They're very punchy with a snappy time to kill. After playing a lot of games with longer time to kills, at the time I wrote this, it feels nice to go back to powerful bullets. This type of gameplay feels like a better balance between Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2 2022. I'd say somewhat better than Modern Warfare 2. You see, in Modern Warfare 2 there was animated visual recoil that didn't actually correspond with your weapon's handling. So you see your gun moving and kicking all around while your crosshair isn't actually moving. Here, the visual recoil matches a lot closer to where your gun leads rather than where your static crosshair is. There's also a lot of guns to play with, about 45, and they're all pretty fun. SMGs are good, assault rifles don't feel samey, and hell, I've even been enjoying sniping in this game, and I don't usually enjoy that playstyle. Most of the guns have rather heavier recoil than in most games I've played, even though they shouldn't in some cases, but we'll get to that. So you cannot just beam someone half a mile away. You either have to switch to semi or fire an accurate burst, and personally I like that, because it makes the firefights feel a tad bit more dynamic. Hell, I built my M4 to specifically take advantage of this. Now, that would be a great segue to talk about the gunsmith and the weapon balancing, but I want to talk about positive things, and I'm going to have to hold off because that's a lot to unpack. However, there's one odd thing this game added that I allude to in the intro, that being the specialist system. That was a very controversial move in 2042, and if you remember in my X-Defiant video, I think I made it very clear I'm not a huge fan of specialists. Speaking of X-Defiant, apparently it's not doing so well. Who would have thought that? It has dipped below 20,000 players and has some rumors are saying it's at risk of shutting down. I bring this up because in my X-Defiant video, I said I'll check in on the game by season 3 or 5. But apparently I might not be able to, so... Lightning review! They added the worst possible patch to bunny hopping. Honestly, just make it drain stamina, slow you down with every jump like every other game does. 3 seasons added some mid-guns, some mid-maps, and a new operator that aren't really all that exciting. Overall, the game is okay, but not really worth my time, and I can't find matches quickly anymore. 4 out of 10. Alright, back to Delta Force. So when it comes down to it, Delta Force can go wrong in 2 ways. They can go the Battlefield 2042 route, where the operators are barely noticeable, don't really change the game that much, nor affect your playstyle, but does ruin the teamwork aspect of the game. Or do what X-Defiant did and make the specialist glorify I win buttons with OP gadgets and abilities that don't affect your playstyle, that are just fucking annoying. Well, I am really happy to say that they did none of those things. Instead, the operators are far more balanced. They are locked to a type of class and weapons, similar to what Battlefield 2042 somewhat later did. But what I like about these operators is they feel more geared towards certain playstyles. Like the offensive operators are great for rushing. The medic operators good for making hostile. Yeah, he heals. Good guess. The engineer operators have gadgets and stuff for vehicles, but they play more defensively, with one even having a deployable cover that somehow doesn't even feel that cheap. The recon operators have a bow that highlights other players, and another one has a siege-looking gadget that draws a line to players, giving the team a needed heads up. It is the more annoying specialist they have, but I wouldn't say it's all that bad, since the effect doesn't last that long. And more importantly, no one is overpowered. I never got killed and thought to myself, oh, well of course you need to play as Red Wolf to get kills. You need a broken operator to play. Black Ops 3 much? Go play X-Defiant. Never thought that, because the operators are designed to fill the respective roles for their team, as opposed to fulfilling a power fantasy for themselves. And that is exactly what the game needed to do. The reason Battlefield 2042 missed the mark so much is because the specialists were designed to be one-man armies. You could have stims, RPGs, and a sniper if you really wanted to. While in Delta Force, they are far more rigged to their selection. You can't play as a medic with an RPG and a machine gun. Those two things are the support's job. This makes it to where you still need to rely on other players for help. Teamwork is still essential, as it should be. Too many games miss the mark when they add operators and specialists. And even though I would have preferred a traditional class-based system like in the older Battlefields, plus uniform customization, I still think the specialist system in this game works fine. Along with the mostly good gameplay mechanics, the two maps are also pretty good. Them being Cracked and Ascended. Ascended looks like this one map from Battlefield 2042, almost to a fault, but it has a cool opening where you storm the beaches on boats. However, I don't like the cave section. It gets very cramped. Explosions going off every 2 seconds as you're trying to fucking help your teammates, and teammates are popping smoke everywhere and you can't see jack shit. However, you still get hit, and then oh fucking shit, they just took a zone and you gotta try to retake it, and then they brought up a tank, so you gotta take care of that too. And god, did they seriously just... It's also not really fun being the attackers either. The defenders have a lot of good cover and cannons and tanks and stuff, but the attackers, you have to thread over exposed lands. And so half the time you have to hide in smoke or behind rocks, or just get picked off by snipers from every fucking angle, all of them being half a mile away. You can't even flank that effectively since most of the flanks are just open fields. It's not a bad map per se, it's just difficult and overwhelming. Cracked I like a lot more. The map, not the drug. It's a desert map, which I like. It feels more concentrated with a better flow. Attackers have more viable cover and defenders have good positions, with plenty of flanks and maneuvers you can do without feeling fucking stranded. Tanks might struggle a bit more on this map, mainly because of the houses and the roads, but I feel like that's more of a balance than a con. And there is no destructibility, at least not in the alpha, but I don't really think it's that needed. Another important aspect is the modes, those being Advance and Defend, King of the Hill, or Conquest, Flash, or Domination, Attack, Domination, but way worse. All these modes, besides Attack, are great. Advance and Defend is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically Rush and Battlefield, where one side has to defend 1 or 2 objectives, while the other has to try and take the objectives to advance further. It's a good mode, if a bit sweaty. The hard part is trying to deal with your butt-fucking useless teammates. So let's say there's a tank. Everyone would rather be fucking Red Wolf or a sniper instead of becoming support for 2 seconds, and because of that, it becomes a bloodbath really fast. Now, that being said, here's something kind of funny to me. In Battlefield, I don't like Conquest. I think it's because Battlefield is so team-oriented that on Conquest, most players just do their own thing, making it to where you're just running around chasing flags while other players are just scattered all to hell. But on Delta Force, I was playing their version of Conquest a lot, and I'm struggling to pinpoint why. It may be because of specialists, but then again, they're not that, as I said before, they're not that overpowered. And having teammates around is still a godsend. Maybe the maps are just better, maybe the movement and gunplay is great. I don't know, I just know I'm having a lot more fun on it. I think it may be because it's far more casual than Advance and Defend, but for what it's worth, it's really fun. Another great mode is Flash, which is just domination. Not too much to say other than it's more chaotic, and it feels more like COD than it does Battlefield. However, that's the last of the good modes, because we have Attack. I hate this mode. I never gotta win as the attackers. I swear, it's impossible. Half the time you're just being fucking spawn camped. It's not fun. This is one of the modes I wouldn't care if it got removed. Alright, so you might notice I've been really nice to this game. Well, let's change that. You might notice I haven't been talking about the Gunsmith. Hell, I intentionally avoided talking about it, and that's because I kinda hate it. What went wrong with this thing? Well, for starters, a lot of the attachments look kind of ugly. Some of them are just way too big or way too small, along with weird barrels that, again, just look ugly. Why not model them closer after real handguards the military uses? But obviously, that is not my biggest concern with the game, even if it does bother me. No, what is more important is the balancing with and without the Gunsmith. But I'm going to focus on the Gunsmith first. A lot of the attachments have no cons to them. Now, that might not seem bad at first glance until you realize you could run around with a huge mag, huge stock, huge barrel, and an IR laser as fast as you want without breaking a fucking sweat. This fucks up the balancing so much. Now, in a game like, say, I don't know, Black Ops 6, which is more movement focused, this kind of Gunsmith balancing is more forgivable in Black Ops, but does not belong in Delta Force. Delta Force is not a movement-based game. It is far more positioning heavy. It doesn't matter how much you slide, cancel, and bunny hop. If you have cover and better positioning, 9 times out of 10, you'll win against that guy, which is how it should be. That's the gameplay style that Delta Force is choosing to go for. But if I get killed by a player who's running around and hopping all around and clicks on me and kills me with a gun that looks like that, I'm calling bullshit. And you might say, but Cayenne Pepper, they are slightly slower. Shouldn't that be good enough?
Of course not. That's not good enough!
No! Because if you turn your AR into an LMG wannabe, then it might as well handle like an LMG. I don't want to see players rushing around and hopping around with absolute units of a gun. What I'm asking for is for the Gunsmith to have more punching cons to their attachments, making players more mindful of the type of gun they are building. You should not be allowed to have fast movement, quick aiming, along with max ammo and highly controllable recoil. You need to have a trade-off. The fix would be pretty simple. Big, bulky, heavy attachments will sacrifice movement and aim down sight speed in trade for better control and accuracy, while lighter attachments will make you move and aim faster but far less accurate. This will make it to where players will need to make their guns based off what they want. Let's say you want to make an M4 build. What do you want from it? Do you want to get into your enemies' faces and pump them full of lead like an SMG? Well, then you might want to build it very light, sacrificing all of your medium and long range capability. Do you want to have a more medium build, kind of like a jack of all trades kind of build? Nothing too heavy, nothing too light. But you will still be outgunned by SMGs or AR built for CQB, and you're not going to really be competing against snipers, not in full auto at least. However, do you want an AR to defend your location and reach out and kill enemies from afar? Now you can put on your drum mag and long barrels and heavy stocks and whatever. See how much better that would be? How your attachments would further define your playstyles. Where it is right now, at least in the alpha, is really bad. Players are not looking to make their guns based off their playstyles. They're looking for meta builds, and I don't like that. It just stifles everything the Gunsmith should be. To make creative guns, to make guns you see in movies, to make anything fun. But instead, players are just making meta builds, and they all look the same. So this early meta needs to be nibbed in the bud now. However, this continues into another problem, which is the actual weapon balancing, mainly recoil. Now, I know I just said that I like how a lot of the guns have stronger recoil, that is more dynamic, and I still stand by that. But what I want to point out is how, for some reason, they got the recoil balancing completely backwards. Now, explain to me, viewer, why does a M4 or an M249 SAW have harder to control recoil than a Scar H and a PKM? Seriously, I am not joking. Two guns that are world renowned for being easy to control need every attachment to be geared towards controlling it. You need to be eating clown ass through a straw to come to the idea that a heavy caliber weaponry is somehow easier to control. You might say it's for balancing, since a lot of the guns have such high cyclic rates that it would be overpowered to keep them so easily controllable, and I would be inclined to agree. I mean, the Vector is a hard to control bullet hose in game, despite the fact that in real life the gun was specifically designed to reduce recoil. So I would just bite my tongue and say, fine, it's for balancing, whatever. But, except for the fact that the M416 has a much higher cyclic rate than the M4, yet possesses far more controllable recoil.
Oh, come on!
I know! Like pick a lane! Either 5.56 is uncontrollable because it fires too fast, or it isn't! I know I'm mainly talking about the M4, but other guns do this too. As I said, the Vector, which shoots either 45 ACP or 9mm, I don't know which one the game specifically chose, is hard to control, yet the G3 shoots a far bigger round, yet is very easy to control. Too many guns have this weird standard of low fire rate, high damage, and low recoil, while other guns have high cyclic rate, high recoil, and medium to low damage that need ugly attachments to become usable, with some odd exceptions here and there. Obviously this needs to be fixed, and it's so simple. Just use your brain. 5.56 isn't high caliber, it's not uncontrollable. And its biggest weakness is its lack of penetrating power, if anything. So maybe let it where SMGs have next to poor to no wall penetrating or armor penetrating powers, while medium calibers like 5.56 have weak to medium penetrating powers, while heavier calibers like 7.62 and such can easily punch through walls and armor. I don't know, I just get really annoyed seeing guns done so wrong. There are some other things I want to touch on, like they made tac sprint infinite for some reason. I don't know why. Give it a limit, make it work off your attachments too, and make it more balanced. Maybe balance the tanks and helicopters and such. It's kind of annoying shooting like 8 rockets for it only to do jack shit, and then it just goes back into a corner, repairs itself easily to full health. Maybe remove self-repair and make it rely on teammates. I think that would push the game to be more teamwork oriented. Anything else? Oh, the extraction mode. Almost forgot about it. Alright, so talking about tactical warfare, or the DMZ mode, or the Escape from Tarkov mode. I don't have too much to say. One, because this video is long enough, but two, because I'm more mixed on it. So gameplay wise, it's a lot like DMZ from Modern Warfare 2 2022, with the mission design being, I guess, closer to Tarkov, with having closed off large maps for you to loot, explore, and fight in. Now, I'm not a big fan of extraction shooters. The few I have played were Ghost of Tabor, which I actually scrapped a review on, and Modern Warfare 2 2022, which I didn't really get into. So do take my opinions with a grain of salt. I will say I did have fun. There were plenty of close and intense calls in it. And I even made a friend. The addicting aspect of extraction shooters is their stressful intensity. Dying means a lot in extraction shooters, so getting kills, looting, and getting out alive is a fucking thrill. Down one of there. Kill them, they're dead.
Good job.
I need help here. Alright, great game.
Have a nice day, guys.
FPG's out.
And tactical warfare gets that right. It is exciting, but there are elements of it that are frustrating. Aside from the probable hackers, the mode struggles with one main problem. It's both simple and strangely complex. I'm sure that you can tell that the movement and gunplay is a lot like Call of Duty or Battlefield, being more arcadic compared to, say, Tarkov, which is fine. But then other mechanics take a odd turn, like the medical system. You can get concussed, break your legs, break your arms, be in pain, bleed out, and then you need specific items to heal yourself from your specific injuries. I thought this game was supposed to be more simple, more casual than the other extraction shooters. Like, maybe just have bandages to heal a small quarter of your health, and then medkits to heal you back to full health, and then painkillers to help you deal with the pain while you don't have any sort of bandages or medical system. Like, wouldn't that be enough? I'm just saying, it's odd to have such a complex system. Like, imagine if you were playing Black Ops 6 or Warzone, that'd be more appropriate. But when you get hit, you have to run around a corner, and then you have to use, I don't know, Armored 3's Ace medical system to heal yourself. Like, that would be weird in a COD game. But so why is it here? Another thing I don't like is that the ammos have specific rarity, which adds to the level of RNG that I don't like. I'm already struggling to stay alive as it is. How is it fun to shoot someone but lose because they had better bullets? There's added armor rarity, which is fine, I guess. I don't know. Admittedly, I don't think this mode is for me. I wouldn't mind playing it with friends and whatnot, but just only with friends. I would never play this in my free time. But if you like extraction shooters, don't let me be the judge. Try it out yourself when it's out. Wait, hold on. Okay, so I gotta make this really brief, but as I was editing this video, they launched the maintenance test for the Delta Force beta, which has some differences. So I'm going to go over that really quickly since I don't have a lot of time. They added a new operator. She's a medic, and her specialist is that she could like launch these nanobots and heal her enemies, that kind of stuff. I think the nanobots, like, they're called UAVs, and I think they stick to people. I don't know if they just keep them hurt, drain their life, or keep them like tagged. I'm really confused on what they're supposed to do. But that's her thing. They added 2 new maps, actually 3, but I haven't played the third one yet. The first one's a bit hectic. You like fight above ground on this like train station, then you go underground into this like plant station. Honestly, it's very hectic, a lot like Ascended, not really my favorite. But they also added this trench map, which has like destructibility with the houses getting blown up, and you fight on these trenches. It's a really good map. Reminds me a lot of like Battlefield 1. And, you know, it's kind of silly to think about trench warfare in the modern day. That wouldn't happen. Oh, this is horrifying. Anyways, but they also changed some of the mechanics. Like, you cannot have multiple classes anymore. You have to have one class. You can also change your gun while in the game, a lot like in Battlefield 2042, but you cannot change the attachments. And more importantly, I'm a bit disappointed with the server maintenance at the moment. Those servers have been lagging a lot. The performance is really bad at the moment, but I think that they're trying to smoothen out the servers before the game launches, which I think is smart. Another problem is that they launched this on the Transcend game launcher as opposed to launching it on Steam, so I couldn't use AMD Super Resolution to give myself better performance. So that could be part of the problem, but I think it's mostly server issue. Overall, I'm still really hopeful for when the beta comes out, but there are some hiccups that makes me a little bit nervous. Oh, and before I leave, they also changed the Gunsmith a little bit, so it is a little bit more balanced. Not perfect, I would like to see a little bit more improvement, but it is a little bit better. Anyways, let's end this. I'm so sorry. Alright, this review has taken long enough, so let's wrap this up. Delta Force is looking very promising, and I'm excited to see more, especially during its beta on December 5th, which I will be reviewing. The fact that we are getting such a high quality game with the animations and graphics of a new COD game for free is amazing. And sure, I am worried about some things, but I hope that they can show that they will listen to the community and fix problems that may appear. Good luck, Delta Force. You're going to need it. Let's end this here, and God, so much to talk about. There's a lot on my plate at the moment. Black Ops 6 just came out, and now I gotta start making a review for that. The beta of this very game is gonna come out on December 5th, so I'm gonna have to review that too, and have an idea, and I still need to make my Ghost Recon video. So there's that, and I also have an idea. I want to talk about Vanguard Zombies retrospective, and I feel like that would be a really fun video to make. But obviously I have a lot on my plate, and I can only do this when I have free time and all that stuff, so I am sorry for the slow and inconsistent uploads. I promise I want to do better, but at the same time I'm not being paid to do this, and I do this mainly for fun. But I am appreciative for all of you who come around to watch my videos and hear my opinion. I genuinely appreciate you, and this is going long enough, so let's end this. What did you all think about Delta Force's alpha? Does it look promising, or does it look like a cheap knockoff? I'd love to hear your opinion about it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and at ease.